2024 real estate market, Tim. Is it good, bad,
It's awesome.
neutral?
Awesome.
Awesome for who?
Awesome for buyers, awesome for sellers, man. It's going to be phenomenal.
Okay. It's not, but okay. You want to go ahead?
So we're going to base it on three principles. Ready? Number one, okay, interest rates are going to come down. Okay, as interest rates go down, their buying power is going to increase. That's number one, right? Number two, a lot of our baby boomers, our senior population is beginning to sell and convert over and move out of the area. So that's going to be the big, huge number two. And then number three, those people that are serious about real estate and understand the fundamental value, how houses appreciate in value based on scarcity, want to win. That's my philosophy right there, man. It's going to be a win-win.
Okay. So you think house prices are going to do what?
Need to go up.
Okay, and interest rates are going to go down.
Yeah, I do. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the challenge we have today is buyers' buying power is challenged, and is that going to resolve itself?
So the answer is yes. And the reason for that, Brian, is you have to understand people's payroll, their incomes lag behind appreciation. Okay, so people's payroll, their incomes are going up. It's now catching up with the interest rates. Okay, interest rates are going to go down, and their pays are going to go up, and the buying power is going to balance out.
I don't think that is. I don't think that the interest rates will come down and incomes will come up enough to do what you just did here with your hands.
Well, I mean, look,
I think it'll go like this. That's assuming it'll go like this. And the reason I say that is houses are the most unaffordable that they've ever been in our lifetime. And that's proven fact. You can look it up. It's based on data. And by unaffordable, what I mean is based on the average American's income versus the average cost of a mortgage, the gap is now farther than it's ever been. And I do agree that it will probably shrink somewhat, but house prices will go up. And I think it'll probably be almost flat for buyers as far as like if you can't afford a house now, I don't think it's going to be miraculously better to afford a house in 2024.
I think the process is going to change because I think people are going to recognize the houses are just not a place to live, but they're a long-term investment and they're a long-term insurance policy to prevent your rents from going up. So, Brian,
let me just interpret what you're saying really quick. So you're saying that people that are currently choosing not to buy because they are choosing to rent because they feel like houses are unaffordable and that they're waiting for them to become affordable are going to change their mind and say, even though they're unaffordable, I'm going to buy one anyway.
Exactly right. There's no question about it.
Okay.
Now just play it through with me. You ready? You were renting out this townhouse that you've been renting now back in 2019 for $1,500. You're now renting for $2,500. Do you think they regret not having bought in 2019? Yeah.
So I don't disagree with you in principle. I know people personally that are following this tract where they've been waiting out. It's like I look at it a little bit different. I think it's the people that tried to outsmart the market who were very confident that, because their uncle told them or because they just know what they know, that things are going to, like the housing market's going to crash. And when it crashes, I'm going to jump in. And they're starting to realize it's not going to happen. So let's just pause for 1 second and let's speak to that group of people. And let's just say, listen, if you've been on the fence and you've been waiting for a crash, let me tell you why that is not going to happen. The primary reason is because, and we were just talking about this before the call, real estate is a zero-sum game without new construction. What that means is for every person that sells a house, they're buying a house and the number of available houses stays the same. So what you have is a pent-up demand. You had like 4 million prior to the pandemic. Now it's like 6 million people who want to buy a house who can't find one or would buy a house if they could or whatever it is, however you want to look at it. The only way to solve it is new construction, more houses for the amount of people. That is not taking place.
Correct.
So therefore, house prices will not come down. The only thing that would cause them to come down would be a shortage of buyers or an abundance of houses for sale that met the 6 million and then had a surplus on top of that.
Correct.
It's not going to happen because everybody who's in a house is going to move into another house. They're going to buy a rental or they're going to buy another house or whatever. So house prices are not coming down.
It's not going to happen with the construction of new homes.
Yeah, that's also true.
We're not building affordable homes. I mean, think about it. I mean, you go
That's also true.
Brand new townhouse at $500,000. I mean, that's affordable.
It's not. You're correct. You're 100% correct. Yeah. So there is not going to be a savior of new construction.
Nope.
It's not even just the prices. It's the fact that, and this, I haven't read this, but my theory is that most of the population centers have been built out, and the building codes that are in place prevent building right near the cities, and the immediate surrounding areas are already built out. Like, you have to go farther and farther away, and the pandemic and working from home helped solve some of that.
Right.
But people that want to live near a city and live out in the burbs, there's not new construction happening around the country, and the construction that is coming is $500,000 and $600,000 houses. Like, you go into the MLS and you go new construction under 400,000, you'll probably find zero.
Right.
In all of Southern Maryland, and probably nothing in PG County. I don't know the last time I saw anything under 400K being built, townhouse or single family, but especially a single family.
So I think you're missing two steps. Ready? Step number one is you've got a lot of more mature, seasoned, older homeowners. They're going to sell because they realize I've got all this built-in equity. I'm ready to retire. You got that group that's going to move out.
But let's just stick with these buyers that are going to come into the market.
Sure.
I agree with you, but I don't know if anything has changed enough to bring them in. In fact, what I think has happened for many people is that the opportunity might have passed them by a little bit. Where
I don't think it has. I think there's going to be even more opportunity for two reasons, Brian. You got a lot of Airbnb. Airbnb is taking a hell of a damn hit. And there's
it's only 1 million houses. It's not a lot.
Hey, 1 million makes a difference. Be surprised. But also, don't forget the conversion of commercial space into residential housing that has started to take off in the city centers. That's starting to happen. And it
is, but it's not enough. It's so few and far between. Like, I read about a guy bought bought something in Ohio. I think it was an old school. Bought 2 schools across from each other. It was in Philadelphia or something. Yeah, and that's happening, but it's not happening at a rate that's going to solve this problem anytime soon. I think that the realistic conclusion is that it's going to be a hard time for buyers to buy houses. Nothing is coming to the rescue. What people are going to have to do is swallow the bullet, bite the bullet, buy a smaller house that costs a burden to buy. And it's going to be hard for buyers. Like, I don't see a scenario in which buyers are going to feel like they're going to be happy at the settlement table. Like, man, I'm so happy this is happening. It just feels like a burden to buy a house all the way around. Now, the place where it doesn't is you have that 2-income household. They're making $250K. They can afford an extra $1,500 a month.
The income went up, as we talked about earlier. The income goes up. It catches up with the price of homes. Yeah. Bingo, win-win. What do you always say to me? Winner, chicken dinner. Come on.
Yeah. Yep. So I feel like it'll get a little better for buyers, and I think there's some buyers that were sort of waiting out the market. We're here to tell you it's not coming. If interest rates go down, house prices go up even faster. If interest rates go way down, house prices go way up.
But what is that?
It's not going to solve. It's not going away.
But what does it do for somebody who bought a house last year? What's happening to prices?
Well, now let's talk about sellers, because I think so for buyers we've already gone there.
Yeah.
And here's let me wrap through a couple predictions that I pulled up on the internet. So I pulled up Redfin, Business Insider, Bankrate.com, and Forbes.com. They all say the same thing.
What's that?
Listings will rise, prices and rates will fall. That's not true. But housing costs will remain a problem for young families, which will increase demand for large rentals and forced President Biden to make affordability a cornerstone of his reelection bid. That's probably true. They're probably going to pressure the Fed to lower rates. But the idea that house prices will fall, I disagree with. Listings will rise in prices and rates will fall. I disagree. That's Redfin.
Housing market predictions for 2024. I'm reading it right here. And it basically says, I'm going to conceptualize it, values will continue going up and that buyers are recognizing the overall investment return.
Yep, they're changing their mind. Yep.
Dude, and that change in perspective is huge, Brian.
You're correct, Tim. I mean, I agree with you. I just don't know that it's a ton. So
I think there's a number of pieces in play. We've got the Airbnb piece. We've got the seniors selling their home piece. We've got affordability catching up with incomes going up. I think it's a change in perspective. I think 24 is going to be a solid year. But remember,
it is.
Baron von Rothschild said, which is you buy when there's blood in the streets. And Brian, there's
no blood in the streets, Tim. There is no blood in the streets.
I think there's opportunity.
There is, but there's no blood in the streets. I
think with a blood in the streets is real simple. It's the real estate agents that aren't sharp, that aren't sticking to the market, that are getting out of the business.
You're talking about from the real estate agent and the lender perspective. Let the bodies hit the floor, Tim. It's a slaughterhouse out there.
Exactly. So what's that mean? It means
that has nothing to do with the people watching this. Well, a lot of realtors actually watch our videos, so I'll say that.
It's going to mean more professional real estate agents that are using things in place to buy houses. Brian, look, they've got construction perm loans now that are tied into FHA loans.
Well, let's finish up with this predictions from these experts, right? So Business Insider says home buyers will see lower mortgage rates, higher home prices, and a lot more competition. I definitely believe that.
Okay, I mean, look,
2024 buyers should start preparing now by saving money, paying down debt, improving credit, look into affordable mortgage programs and down payment assistance to boost affordability. Check, and check. That is all 100% true. You should be calling Tim and saying, hey, I want to buy next year. What do I need to do to get into position? What programs are available? I can tell you there's more than what you probably think.
And that's the key right there, Brian. As things tighten up, we're talking about blood in the streets, right? What's going to happen is more affordability, more products. Look, the state of Maryland, if you don't follow the Maryland mortgage program, and I don't want to quote rates here, but look at the Maryland mortgage program. They had a 6.25% government rate the other day, 0 points. Brian,
yeah. Well, there's stuff. That was my whole point. Call Tim. Yeah. Tim will get you into something you probably don't know exists. All right. Bankrate.com says low level of inventory. Sellers continue to have the upper hand in the housing market. True. High mortgage rates and steep home prices are dissuading would-be buyers. Again, true. If rates dip in 2024, it'll spur the market for buyers and sellers. Also true.
There you go, man.
Forbes.com.
Yeah.
Forbes.com says, when will houses become affordable? Without reading it, I'm going to say not in the foreseeable future.
In 10 years.
Hopeful home buyers are getting early holiday gift, a decline in rates. And this is one of those ones where it's like everything's relative. Like it's lower, it's more affordable compared to October, but it slid to 7.2. If you told somebody last year 7.2 is going to be the good rate, or 2 years ago, you'd be like, oh my gosh. Yeah, despite this easing perfect storm of high rates, home prices amid historically low housing stock continue to put home ownership out of reach for many. Yeah. Most notably, first-time home buyers remain pessimistic more than ever about being able to form a home in 2024. Also, all true. This is all basically what we've been saying the whole time.
There you go,
2023 was a demoralizing year for many aspiring home buyers. Yes, it was. And it was demoralizing for home sellers because the greed and the ability to sell your house for these crazy prices is gone. So let's talk about sellers really quick and what sellers should expect for 2024. Do you want to give like a summary?
Yeah, I think sellers are going to expect to see that buyers in general are going to be more, I hate to say this, but more picky about the houses that are coming on the market. I think they're going to require more inspections. I think they're not going to accept the house as is condition any longer. They want a home that's going to be worth what they're willing to pay. I think sellers have to be more flexible in paying closing help. I think sellers have to be more realistic about time frames, right? So I think those three things have to come in play, and I think there's going to be more.
That was like 5 things.
Okay, but there's not going to be a seller's like market, right? It's not a buyer's market.
Well, Tim. So let me say first of all, I agree with everything you said 100%. I probably wouldn't even add anything to it. I would also say that that's still a seller's market because ultimately,
they still control the inventory. I agree.
Well, not just that, but they're still controlling. They're still getting high prices, and at the end of the day,
right?
Like when you sort out your list of goals, getting top dollar is over and above pain in the buttness of having to do inspections and deal with getting your house fixed up or whatever. So they're still winning. And they're still able to demand high prices. Yes, they're going to have to concede some things they didn't have to before, but it will still be relatively easy to sell your house, and they'll still be able to get top dollar. Now, the greed is gone in the sense that you can't do crazy things and say, I'm going to live in my house for 6 months for free. You're going to pay your closing costs and my closing costs. You're going to waive the inspections and the appraisal, and you're going to pay $50K over. That is gone. But that's probably not healthy anyway. So we're in a good situation for sellers, but they're also going to have to now roll up their sleeves a little bit, and they're going to have to put in a little bit of effort here. They're going to have to fix their house up. They're going to have to compete against their neighbors a little bit more, and they're going to have to concede on some things they didn't want to before. I just went through this. My home seller had to put in a UV light for his well because the well test failed. And before we would have been like, no, we're definitely not doing that.
But still got premium dollar, Brian.
But that's my point, though. We sold it over the appraisal and things like we still got top dollar for it. And, a freaking UV light's only $1,200, not a big deal. So it's like a small percentage. So for sellers, it's not going to sell with 5 offers. It's not going to sell in the first weekend per se.
Right.
You're going to have to be realistic about your price. You're going to have to put a little effort into getting it to sell, but it'll sell. So I think for sellers, it's good news. For buyers, I don't see it as rosy. I still see it as painful. But I do think that, to your point, Tim, for the people that are willing to say, hey, you know what? Like, I would love for a house to be able to be, 3,500 square foot and 25% of my income, it's going to have to probably be 2,000 square foot and 35% of my income. And it's not going to be like all fixed up, but you know what? I have a house. So yes, that's a thing. And you're going to see people buying some more fixer uppers and less desirable homes, but their opportunity exists. If you are able to buy a little bit of a fixer-upper as a first-time home buyer, and you're willing to live in a rambler that maybe it's got an unfinished basement like I did when I bought my first house, still opportunity is still there. You can still do it.
Correct. And so, Brian, you nailed it right there. How many of us would have gone back 5 years ago having bought a house in 2019? And I'll give you an example. One of my clients bought a townhouse for $150,000. Dude, they put it on the market 30 days ago, and they're selling it for $295,000. They're almost making 100% profits.
Oh, I know.
And the proceeds are tax free. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what other investment you're going to sell, and they're 100% tax free, Brian.
To your point, Tim, people are coming around to understand. I'm having this conversation with my son-in-law right now, and I'm trying to explain to him that even though it feels like a crazy decision, you have to compare that to 5 years ago and understand that it feels like a crazy decision compared to 5 years ago when you could see somebody buying a $300,000 house and paying, $1,800 a month, and it felt comfortable. It's not going to feel comfortable. It's going to feel like a stressful event, and buyers are going to have some